want. And she would always say, read me Seeping Bleauty. And so it became this kind of weird word. She grew up and went to Penn and did all these exciting, wonderful things. And Dad would say, there she is, Seeping Bleauty. So she probably didn't even know that all those years we were thinking about Seeping Bleauty. So that's the reason why I chose this play. And we are going to present to you the one and only family characters for Sleeping Beauty. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Once upon a time, in a distant land, there lived a very happy king.
King.
King. And queen. The king. Yay!
Yay for the king. That's your step there. Hey!
They were so happy. But let me tell you their names. This is King Alec. He has come all the way from England to be part of our production. And this is Queen Paige, the best kitchen cleaner in the universe. Yay! Their first baby, a lovely baby girl, had just been born. Bring the baby. Bring the baby. Cue the baby. And there she is, the beautiful baby. Queen Paige was delighted with her little baby girl. She wanted a very special name for her and finally decided that the baby would be christened Suzanne Michaela. Woo! Woo! King Alec and Queen Paige wanted everyone in their kingdom to meet their baby, but they must protect her from evil beings. Take her arm, now walk down and meet your guests. Walk down, 1, 2. And they proceeded to show their baby to all of their kingdom. But wait, they must be protected. So, they are protected by special guards. Guard Locklane and Guard Declan. These guards would stay near the baby and protect her from all harm, and walked through the kingdom to show off the baby, and the guards went with them. And the guards went with them to protect the baby. And they walked everywhere in their kingdom to show off their baby, and their guards went with them.
She's even a blonde.
Stop. The queen asked the king about having a christening and a big party. The queen said,
Let's have a party.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's make it a christening party.
Christening party.
And let's have it at the palace.
Let's have it at the palace.
The king thought it was a great idea, and they set about getting things ready. As the king and the queen walked around, their guards, Declan and Locklane, walked along with them. The king and the queen carefully chose godparents for baby Suzanne. Usually people had one godfather and one godmother to look out for them. But the king and the queen wanted extra protection for their baby. And so they chose 2 godfathers and 2 godmothers. They chose Godfather Cole. Stand right there. And they chose Godmother Madison. They chose Godfather Liam. And they chose Godmother Ailey.
There she is.
Hey, there she is.
These amazing small
Stand by Maddie.
These amazing small people had wonderful talents. They were so amazing and beautiful. Where am I? Wait a minute. Finally, the day of the christening arrived. All of the people in the kingdom were present. And when baby Suzanne was presented to them, all the people said, "Oh!" Godfather Cole stepped up to the baby and bestowed special powers from him to her. He gave her beauty. She would grow up to be the most beautiful woman in the world. The second godfather, Liam, was next to come to the baby, and he bestowed his special magic. He touched the baby's head and gave to her the power of great intelligence. The baby would grow up to be smart, really smart. The first godmother, Madison, approached the baby. Her gift was also amazing, for it was kindness. This baby would grow up to be so kind, all the people in the kingdom would love her. The second godmother, Ailey, came up to the baby and bestowed her gift. That was the last gift. But perhaps she didn't want to give it. What she really wanted to give her was a funny bone. Princess Suzanne would grow up and be fun to be with. Oh, such a day of happiness. All the people at the party said, "Ah!" and "Ooh!" A special invitation had been sent out to the wood in search of the amazing fairy named Lassie. Everybody loved her. She was so fun to be with.
Oh my God.
She had secret fairy powers.
That's blackmail
She
material
was
there.
slow to give out her gift. She was always
Are you going to send this to all your friends?
special time.
Blackmail.
YouTube.
Blackmail.
We're going to YouTube
You
it.
have leverage, girl.
in the palace.
You got leverage, girl.
When
Oh,
the
you're gonna
christening
bleed.
was over,
Blackmail.
all were invited to a great feast prepared to honor the baby and the godfathers and the godmothers. The king had ordered golden knives. Sit down at the table. Sit down. And the godfathers were going to show the golden knives. The golden knives.
On the table. On the table.
And the golden forks. And the golden spoons. The table was set for the 4 godparents. Special dishes were laid. And there they were, golden silverware. No one else in the kingdom ever had golden knives, golden spoons, golden forks. And everyone said, and
Oh.
just as they were all about to sit down to eat, a very bad witch, Maleficent, arrived at the palace. She was mad. She was very mad. She had not been invited to the christening. Truth be told, she had shut herself up in a high-distant tower for many years, and some people even forgot all about her, and it didn't wait. But here she was, uninvited, and angry at the insult.
She's scaring me.
And the king wanted to be gracious, and he invited her to come and take part of it. And she looked at the wooden bowl, and she was very, very angry. She was so angry that the people were all afraid, and the people all said, "Ah!" Then King and now the king ordered a place set for the bad witch, but since it was only wood and not gold, she was not happy. They could not give Maleficent a golden plate or a golden knife and fork because none had ever been made except for the godfathers. Fairy Lassen observed this scene. She was afraid that the uninvited witch would harm the little princess, so she hid. And she listened. She wanted to be the last person to give the baby a gift, just in case the bad witch would cast an evil spell. No one could see the Fairy Lassen as Fairy Lassen hid. Maleficent approached the baby. She said she had a gift for the baby. She came near the baby's bed, and with head shaking with rage, she declared that the gifts of beauty, intelligence, kindness, and humor would not help the princess at all. Maleficent shouted in a loud voice, "One day we will prick your finger on a spinning wheel needle." The guests were horrified. They said,
Oh!
They were all weeping and saddened by this terrible event. At that moment, Fairy Lassen stepped forth from where she was hiding. She told the king and queen,
Do not worry.
she said to the child,
The child will not die. From the pricking of the needle. From the pinwheel. But only fall asleep for 100 years. And at the end of her sleep, a king's son will come and save her.
The king and queen were hardly comforted by these words. 100 years to avoid the misfortune from coming true for his daughter. The king and the queen ordered every spinning wheel and every spindle in the kingdom destroyed. Anyone using a spinning wheel would be put to death. Scene 2. 15 years go by, and the king and queen decided to go on a vacation. You don't have a baby. Going on a vacation, go away.
Bye.
And their daughter, their wonderful little daughter, was left alone. And so their wonderful little daughter, we went from room to room to room, looking around. And she looked here, and she looked there. She had never really been in some of these places at all. And she was wondering, what was this one little space that she was coming to? Okay, the girl went from room to room looking for a space, and finally at the top of a tower, there was an old woman named Wilhelmina who was spinning. Wilhelmina had never heard of the king's orders.
Sorry I'm late. I was watching the Keeping Up with the Kardashians and I got a little behind. But I'm here now, lady.
Princess Suzanne said, "What are you doing?"
Oh,
What are you doing?
I'm spinning to make sure you don't get a little prick. That would be bad. You might go to sleep.
I have.
I got that one. This one?
And so the princess thought it was very clever. No sooner had the girl taken the spinning wheel away from the old woman, when the needle pierced her hand, and she fell in a swoon.
What did I tell you?
The good old woman called out for help, and all the guards got up and went to help the baby. All the guards got up and went to help the baby. All the guards got up and went to help the baby.
I'm not a baby anymore. I'm a grown now. I'm grown now. That's me.
Where's the baby?
What about my finger?
Is your finger pricked? Oh, her finger is pricked, and she is very sad. Fairy Lassen, who had saved the prince's life, heard that the spell had taken place and rushed to the palace.
Rush.
The king showed her where the princess slept. Fairy Lassen thought of how sad the princess would be when she woke up alone in that great palace with all the people who she knew were dead and gone. So she touched everyone with her magic ring. She touched housekeepers, cooks, maids, and guards. She touched horses and stable boys and even the princess's little dog. At once they all fell asleep and would not wake until the princess woke. Everything in the palace was motionless. Even the flames of the fireplace died and slept. And then Fairy Lassen did something else.
You can't touch me.
Fairy Lassen went to each of the children and they picked up a bramble and they picked up a piece of wood and they came here so that they would protect. And Fairy Lassen gave to each child, and they turned into sticks. Here, come here, here are the sticks.
Okay.
And they all turned into sticks, right here, right here. And they turned into wooden sticks. And they grew up, and the sticks grew up, and the sticks grew up so tall. The king and the queen watched Fairy Lassen in silence, and when the good fairy was done, they kissed their beloved daughter goodbye and left the palace forever. Within a short time, a great number of trees interlaced with brambles and thorns grew up around the palace and formed a hedge so thick that neither man nor beast could penetrate it, and so tall that only the tallest towers in the palace could be seen. In this way, Fairy Lassen made a magical, safe place where the princess could sleep in peace. At the end of 100 years, the son of a king named Ed, who lived nearby, went hunting in the countryside. He asked the people about the towers in the wood.
Where are the towers in the woods?
Over there.
He asked, why does the hedge grow there so thick?
Why does the hedge grow there so thick?
Each told a different story. Some said it was a place of ghosts. Others said it was evil ones. But there was one old man who said he knew exactly what that was. Down this way. And the old man went over to Prince Ed, and the old man said to him that he remembered a different story.
I remembered a different story.
Yeah. And Prince Ed wanted to believe, but the old man said, Your Highness, more than 50 years passed, I heard my father say.
Your Highness, more than 50 years ago, I heard my father say,
There
is a beautiful sleeping princess inside the castle.
asleep for 100 years.
Asleep for
She
100
could only
years.
be awakened by
She can only be awakened by love.
Never had the king's son heard of such a marvelous adventure. Fired by love and a desire for glory, he resolved at once to gain entry into the palace. He prepared to cut down the hedge within his sword, and he approached.
Uh-oh.
But as soon as he came there, all the great trees opened. All the great
Oh, they
trees
did. They did themselves.
opened. All the great trees
Open up,
opened. And the
Threw
prince,
swords at him.
and the prince was able to enter the palace. Quickly, he walked into the palace courtyard. But what he saw made him stop in
I thought he
amazement.
was riding.
A frightful silence hung over the palace, and the image of death was everywhere. People were in place but asleep. The prince leaned down to listen, and he saw the movement of breathing, and then he knew they were alive and had fallen asleep. Next he crossed, and soon, when the guards let their guard, he approached the gilded chamber, and he saw on a bed embroidered with gold and silver a girl. Her coral lips were parted almost slightly, and her beauty was so luminous that she seemed almost to shine. The prince approached her, trembling, and fell upon his knees. Then at the end of the enchantment, the princess awoke. She gazed at the king's son tenderly and she said,
The kiss.
The kiss. Kiss. Bleauty, the kiss.
And Lynn, come on.
Who loves kiss?
You forgot that.
Ah.
Oh.
Ooh. Ooh.
and she said,
Hi.
Kiss me
Hi,
again.
Susan. Who are you?
I waited a long time.
Who are you?
No, you waited a long time.
Oh, you. What? You waited a long time. Listen to the director.
The prince was thrilled by her words and told her that he loved her more than anything. They spoke for many hours and through their conversation made little sense. It hardly mattered. The princess laughed merrily and nodded at the prince's remarks. It was almost as if she had imagined the moment all of those years. In the meantime, all of the people in the palace awoke. They were naturally concerned about their own needs. They hadn't eaten in 100 years, and the princess knew it. And the princess said, they must have food.
They must have food.
The prince said, let us go and meet them. And they stood up, and they walked down their
Are you going to
steps.
lift me up and take me?
No, they stood up. She said they stood up.
Out from the bed. Her clothing was magnificent, but he took care not to tell her it was just like his grandmother's. They went together into the great mirrored hall, where they ate their meal to the old-fashioned melodies. After supper, the chaplain married them in the palace, bang, bang, without losing any time. That night they slept little, because the princess had been sleeping for 100 years. And in the morning, as dawn was breaking, they traveled to the princess' city. On their horse, where his parents were weak. And they lived happily
Ever after. Thank you all.
Very good.
Thank
Excellent.
you all.
To the director.
Writer, director.
It was nothing. It was nothing.